the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, and a very good evening to you. This is Talk, and it is Petrie here with you for the next 3 hours. And coming up at midnight, of course, it is your chance to talk back. And I think it's a very simple question, because Donald Trump is now demanding, he's demanding that his allies get involved in the Strait of Hormuz, even though he says he doesn't really need them. He doesn't need them, doesn't need their help, doesn't need our help. But he's just testing NATO. He's testing to see who steps forward. And rightly so, our European allies are looking at the situation. Germany is a flat out no. Germany has said no. This has not got any legal mandate whatsoever, and that none of us were asked about it before Trump went blazing in there. Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu went blazing in there. So there's a lot of people in Europe now saying, right, we've got to talk about this. There's got to be a strategy, and also there's a risk that if we do go there, and Iran has already said, if you go to aid and abet America, then you will become an enemy of Iran. So we have to think about that. And plus, this could go on for years, especially if America, as it appears they're planning to do, puts boots on the ground. We'll know about that in the next 1.5 to 2 weeks as the expeditionary unit is on its way. But how far and how much do we do Donald Trump's bidding? That's really the question. If he says jump, do we say how high and just do what he wants us to do? Because he's now threatening NATO again. He can't threaten us with tariffs anymore since Congress took that power off him, but he can threaten the destruction of NATO. And of course, that's what he's doing. So that's the question, really. How far do we follow Donald Trump in his and Netanyahu's war? Give me a call on that, 0344 499 1000. Calls are charged at the national rate, but we do call you back. And text the word talk and your message to 87222. It appears that at least 50%, if not more, of the country is behind Keir Starmer's stance on this. And that is, he says, that he doesn't want to get dragged in to another Middle Eastern war. So, but we do need oil, right? So how much do we do? How far do we go? That's the question. The rest of the programme, we have Claire Muldoon going through the papers for us. We're also going to be heading off to LA to talk to Sandro Minetti, because, of course, it was the Academy Awards, the Oscars last night. Looked rather dull, actually, but I'm sure Sandro's got some great gossip for us, so that's why we've got him going to be telling us about the gossip and the backstage stuff that goes on at the Oscars. Did you know that the goodie bags this year for the Oscar noms was worth £260,000? The goodie bags, £260,000. Amazing. I might even turn up for that sort of gift. We're also going to be talking about meningitis in Kent, as it seems that the meningitis is spreading. So we're going to be looking at that story as well. But right now, the Prime Minister today said the UK will not be drawn into a wider war over Iran, causing the US President's furore, as he said today that he's not happy about Starmer's stance. The two had spoken last night as Trump repeated calls for other nations to assist in securing the Strait of Hormuz, even though he said he doesn't need that help. He doesn't need it. He's just testing to see who's going to come forward and help him. Not that he needs the help, you understand. He's got it all under control. It's all this was all planned, all of it, and it's all under control. The US President has thundered that a lack of cooperation would be a very bad thing for the future of NATO, while the international alliance responded that this is not NATO's war. It isn't. It didn't go through any of the checks and balances. It is not NATO's war. However, let's discuss this further. I'm delighted to say we've got Paul Beaver, defence analyst and author, joining us now. Paul, the President of the United States is very surprised at our lack of enthusiasm. I mean, what an extraordinary way to phrase getting dragged into a war.
This is bizarre, isn't it? I mean, I find the whole thing totally mind-blowing. I mean, the first thing is, what are we going to do in the Strait of Hormuz? Because we don't have that much in terms of operationally ready mines countermeasures equipment. And then you have to ask, actually, are there any mines there? It seems to me that the Iranians are doing most of what they're threatening is with small boats and with missiles. And that requires a totally different response to that the United Kingdom can provide. We can certainly continue to defend our... Oh, gone.
Hello, Paul. I've still got you, but you had a big echo on there.
Oh, my apologies. Was that my fault?
I have no idea. But we've got you back now, I think. It sounds much better.
Okay.
Yeah, so carry on. So what are we supposed to do anyway?
Well, exactly. I mean, we're busily defending, and we've got lots of equipment out there defending our allies, people like Qatar, UAE, Oman, Cyprus, of course. We were late in doing this, but we don't have a lot of assets anymore. And that's one of our issues. And neither do the Americans. I mean, if there are mines, sea mines in the Strait of Hormuz, well, the Americans have got no way of clearing it. Their closest mines countermeasures capability is currently on a port visit in Malaysia. In fact, the irony here, Petrie, is that the best worked up, totally capable minesweepers are the Ukrainian Navy ships that are currently in Portsmouth that can't sail through the Black Sea to the Black Sea through the Bosphorus to get to Ukraine. So, you know, that's about the only capability. I find that really quite ironic. But what Iran has done is closed the Strait of Hormuz not by threatening mines, but by threatening missiles and fast boats. And that's a completely different ballgame. And that's really up to the Americans to solve, not us.
Except that he clearly believes, I mean, he was saying today, we've got loads of oil. We've got all the oil. That doesn't explain why petrol prices are rocketing in America. We've got all the oil. We don't need this. We get a tiny this is not our problem. He literally said, this is not our problem. This is up for them to solve, even though he started this catastrophe in the region. He is literally getting prepared to wash his hands of it. I can just imagine in the next couple of weeks, he's going to go, right, we've done our bit now, over to you. That's what I really believe that's what he's going to do.
I mean, he said right at the beginning, this is a 4-week war. Well, what are we in now? Week 3. And the Iranians have got a completely different take on this. I mean, they've been preparing for this for 20 years. They've got underground tunnels where they can store both missiles and fast boats. They've got a great capability for shutting off that very, very narrow waterway around that loops around, well, it's parts of UAE and parts of Oman. And they're in a really good position. The Israelis are doing their own thing. They've gone into southern Lebanon to clear Hezbollah away from there. So they've got a different agenda, I feel, from everybody else.
But and what was Donald Trump's agenda? We're still not clear what his agenda was. I mean, you listen to Marco Rubio, he says one thing. You listen to Pete Hegseth, he says another. Then you've got Trump saying whatever pops up into his mind. It honestly appears like they thought it was going to be one and done. They thought it was going to be another Venezuela.
Yeah, they did. They thought that this was an extension of Venezuela. They thought, I think, perhaps that Iran would go, okay, Gov, fair cop. we give up. Let's talk peace. Well, the Iranians aren't like that. I mean, I'm really surprised at their lack of cultural knowledge of both Iran and the regime there, because it's been clear for some time that they are not prepared just to give up, and you know, and to throw in the towel. Certainly not to the Israelis, and certainly not to the Americans. But I actually don't think there was a plan. I don't think there was an end game other than let's do some shock and awe, and they'll give up, and we can move on to the next thing. And Donald Trump can say, well, I stopped this war. I'm a peacemaker again. It is just quite remarkable, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you start a war to stop it and then claim that you've created peace. The other thing is that Iran, I was reading this earlier today, I've yet to have it confirmed, but it sounds about right. Iran is saying that other countries can go through, that there are countries that can go through the Strait of Hormuz, provided that they're not carrying oil for America or any American associated or affiliated business. But that you have to buy oil in the yuan, not petrodollars. Now, if that is true, China's not going to turn up, right? China's not interested in getting involved in this. And if Iran is now saying that the petrodollar, which is the only thing that's propping up the American economy, if people can buy it in Chinese money, then you can go through.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a clever game.
4 tankers went through in daylight today. One certainly from Pakistan. I think one registered in China. I don't know what the other 2 were, but this is a completely new ball game. I mean, if they are taking oil from Iran and paying for it in whatever currency Iran will accept, and then they get to go through, and they're going through within Iranian coastal territorial waters as well. So that in itself is fascinating. There's a lot still to happen here. This isn't going away. This isn't suddenly going to be next weekend we're going to go, oh, okay, it's 4 weeks or whatever, and peace is going to reign, and the mullahs are going to go. The Kurds are going to come back in. Israel's taken over southern Lebanon and got rid of Hezbollah. Slam dunk. It's all happened. Good. Let's move on to the next crisis. Look out, Cuba.
Yeah. The veiled, or not so veiled threat that Donald Trump is issuing now on NATO. He said this is a test. Now it's become a test. He doesn't need anybody's help with the Strait of Hormuz. This is a test to see who would be willing to help him, and those that don't, and Marco Rubio is going to name the countries apparently tomorrow, those that don't will be, very disappointed, and also that the future of NATO is looking not good. So he's threatening basically to dissolve NATO if people don't go and help.
Let us just remind ourselves what NATO stands for: North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Now, I know that NATO went into Afghanistan as a command and control for a coalition of the willing, 15 years ago or so. But that wasn't really a proper NATO operation in my mind. NATO is about the North Atlantic, what today we're calling the Euro-Atlantic, all the way up to the Barents Sea, down to the Tropic of Cancer, through the Mediterranean, Black Sea, and of course the Baltic. I mean, that's NATO's area of operation. That's where they are. They are supposed to be operating. So, the Prime Minister's quite right by saying the aircraft carrier won't go to the Far East because it's needed in the North Atlantic. Prince of Wales and its escort group is needed up there. And we have to remember at the end of the day, we don't have that many warships anymore. We're sending one warship, as an RFA has left Gibraltar and going east. We've got helicopters, we've got armed helicopters, radar helicopters, and we are we're pretty stretched with that. I would imagine that HMS Anson, the attack submarine that was in Australia, is somewhere in the Indian Ocean, but it's only got a limited number of Tomahawk missiles, so it can't really make a huge contribution. And I'm not sure that we want to make any contribution like that as well, because, as you said right at the very beginning, this is Donald Trump's war. It's Benjamin Netanyahu's war. It's not our war. And if we weren't consulted, I'm not sure why we should now be why we should now be coming in. And you just have to look at the countries that have already said we don't want to be involved. I mean, Japan and Australia are big Pacific allies of the United States. Germany and Britain are big allies in Europe. France has said it won't get involved either. It's sending the Charles de Gaulle carrier group there, but that's also to protect European and French assets. It's not to take part in any air operations or the like against Iran. So I'm not sure where this came from. It must be causing the National Security Council in London a complete headache. Trying to understand, it's bad enough trying to understand an enemy, but trying to understand a friend who keeps changing his mind and making outlandish statements. Who knows what's next?
Well, what could be next is the MEU putting boots on the ground on the coastal line of Iran, the Marine Expeditionary Unit. They're on their way now. They should reach the area in about a week and a half. They're not there for the Strait of Hormuz. They're not there to be on water, right? Let's be clear about this. They will be on land. Iran is already saying that would be a huge mistake. Iran's not going to allow American boots on Iranian soil to defend the Strait of Hormuz, if that's what Donald Trump is thinking, are they?
No, I have no sympathy for the Iranian regime.
No, me either.
But you have to say that some sort of invasion of the area around, say, Bandar Abbas, which is the big port in the Strait of Hormuz, or the Tom Islands, Little Tom, Big Tom, the islands that are in the center of the strait. Occupying those to what end?
And for how long?
Well, that's the other thing is, of course, you can do it for so long. These Marines will be at high readiness. That doesn't last forever. It lasts a matter of weeks. It's rather like you start to hear now stories of the air defense of places like Qatar, Oman, and UAE, and the French are starting to run short of missiles. And I'm not surprised. I mean, we're starting to run short of missiles. The Americans must be. I mean, the Americans can no longer supply Ukraine with Patriot missiles, for example. These are all serious things. I mean, there are more repercussions to this than just hanging around in the northern Arabian Sea, pommeling Iran. This has repercussions in Europe and in Asia, and it's something that should have been thought through 3 or 4 weeks ago, or more than that, 6 weeks, 2 months ago, when they were planning this operation.
But surely
I
they
really
must
hope
have...
they were planning it a few months ago, because if they just did it off the back of a fag packet, as it were,
Well, that's what it feels like.
real issues.
Because
Yeah.
there's a lot of mention, of course, of the Obama agreement with Iran, and the fact that Donald Trump tore that up. Was that working? Just as the agreement that there would be, no weaponized uranium, that they would be inspected, and Iran agreed to that. Was Donald Trump right to distrust that, or was it working? And could it still have been in place today?
Oh, I think there's no doubt that the original Iran nuclear deal could have been very skillfully and carefully diplomatically arranged. And I think obviously those days are long gone. The 12-day war last year sort of scuppered any of that. I, what is interesting is if you talk to well-informed people from the Gulf, from Qatar, UAE, from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, these people are concerned about Iran and the mullahs having nuclear weapons. But they're not so concerned that they would want to invade Iran. Iran's a huge country. Iran doesn't like being invaded. The Persians don't take too kindly to it. I mean, they've been fighting this land for 3,000 years. They really do know what they're doing. Iran is the oldest name of a country in the world. I mean, these are important historical and cultural pieces. So at the end of the day, we don't want anybody else to have nuclear weapons. But the way things are going, we're going to find ourselves having countries, possibly like Poland, having its own nuclear capability, South Korea, Japan, because the world order is breaking down and people are going to look to their own security. And they've seen if you don't have nuclear weapons like Ukraine, then a big bully like Russia comes along and invades you. Well, in the case of Korea and Japan, they're worried about China, of course, which is hugely nuclear. So the whole of the world. I mean, I actually at the weekend with my son got a map out, and we were sort of trying to find, you know, where's a nice place? You know, Argentina's pretty cool at the moment. I quite like that. Or going to Chile, perhaps, or Costa Rica. There aren't many other places in the world that are remotely peaceful.
No. I mean, it really is. I mean, this has spread, this whole, I mean, and I'm going to put it at the feet of Trump. You know, it seems like for the last year or so, it's just everything has spun out of control. And I don't know where, I just literally can't see where we go from here. I don't know how we get out of this.
No, you see, I'm old enough to remember the certainties of the Cold War in the 80s. We sort of knew what was going on, and we sort of knew what the angles were. We knew what the Soviet Union, what China, Cuba, any of these countries, what they were basically thinking. And because we spent our time looking at them and studying them, studying the psychology of the despots, etc. The thing we had to do now is look at supposedly our greatest ally, the United States, and try and work out what they're doing. Where are they going? I mean, you know, it's very difficult to understand when you have a system where suddenly, without any consultation, they start a major war. You know, that's just bizarre.
And Trump is saying it's because he feels it in his bones. That's as far as it goes, and he'll stop it when he feels it's the right thing to do. And
when he gets bored.
And they say women are too emotional to run the world. Extraordinary. Paul Beaver, pleasure to see you. Thank you very much indeed. Paul Beaver, defence analyst and author. Quick break, back in a sec.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, this is Talk and it's Petrie here. And of course, coming up at midnight, it's Talk Back. And that is your opportunity to do just that. And I mean, I just don't know where what is going on in the world at the moment. I mean, it's just not funny, is it? It's just the whole world seems to be in a right disaster area. But how far do we go to do what Trump wants us to do? That's the question, because he's becoming more and more insistent now that NATO steps up to help him. This is not a NATO war. This is nothing to do with NATO. It's not been approved by NATO. I don't know, maybe he's getting that confused, but he's saying that his allies now must step up to police the Strait of Hormuz. Now that literally could go on. I mean, it's an endless situation. And by the way, this is when it appears that despite Trump saying we will not put boots on the ground, why are they sending thousands of Marines to the area? They are literally the embodiment of boots on the ground. So that is something that Europe and Britain have got to consider, right? Because if there's suddenly a land invasion, the Iranians are not just going to go, well, they're just on the coast, that's fine, we'll leave them to it. Absolutely no way. So this is not over, and this is not peaked either. And the irony for me is Trump saying, well, you know, we've decimated their military, decimated it, and yet they're still firing rockets. And they've got hypersonic rockets, which America doesn't have. So they've got technology that he's underestimated them. He thought they were all goat herders. I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it. And he had no idea at the level of planning, as Paul was saying, 20 years, of planning that they've put into this. And you know, they've used up all their cheap weapons first, and now they've got the expensive ones, when our expensive ones are running out. I mean, no planning at all. So how far do we go to do what Trump wants us to do? That's the question. Do you want us all in? Do you want us all out? Is there a middle ground? Give me a call, 03444 991 1000. Now, though, let's consider something absolutely more fun. We're giving you the chance to win 2 hospitality tickets to the British Grand Prix on Sunday the 5th of July with the full Racing Green trackside experience. This is the ultimate setup for race day. You'll get exclusive grandstand seats at the Loop and Village Corners, plus inner track access to watch the drivers arriving at the paddock, plus access to the hospitality shuttle bus for easy on-site transport, racing simulators and live music between sessions, and an all-day street food and open bar. So if you're keen on that, have a listen.
For your chance to win, text TALK to 83338. Text costs £2.50 plus your standard network rate. Or call 0343 418 7260. Lines close 20th of March 2026 at 4 p.m. That's when you need to answer your phone if it rings. 18 plus UK residents only. This is a network promotion. Full T's and C's at talk.tv/win. So for your chance to win, text TALK to 83338 now.
the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, this is Talk and it's Petrie, and just a reminder that we're heading to LA in about 15 minutes time to get the backstage gossip on the Oscars, and then Claire Muldoon will be joining us to go through the papers. But right now, an outbreak of meningitis in Kent has claimed the lives of 3 young people. This is a horrific disease. My father had it when he was younger. Then my brother got it. Nowhere in the same. They didn't catch it from each other. This was decades apart. And then my son, again, decades after that, also got meningitis when he was 11 weeks old. And luckily, because I'm so meningitis aware, I spotted it. And the hospital were thinking that I was just some neurotic new mother. I was most insistent. And yes, it turned out to be meningitis. So it is a very fast-moving disease, and it is a very dangerous disease if you don't spot it in time. The trouble is, it mimics lots of other diseases. So how do you spot it? And how do you make sure that you get the treatment that you need as quickly as you need it? Well, joining me now to discuss this is Dr. David Lloyd, a North West London GP. David, thank you so much for joining me. Nice to meet you.
And you. That was quite a story you told.
It's extraordinary. In fact, you don't get clusters of meningitis, do you? So it was just, my dad was in his 30s. Then it was, 30 years.
In families, yes.
Yeah.
No, I think that's absolutely right. It's quite a story. I mean, clusters are the story that's going on at the moment, of course.
Yeah.
But not a family getting one after the other, I guess. I guess there might be some immune thing in your family, but yes, what a story.
Yeah, especially when my little boy got it. He was 5 weeks premature as well, so it was very, very dangerous. And they honestly thought that I was just being, over exaggerating and being a bit dramatic. But because I was so insistent, he got the treatment that he needed very, very quickly. But there are stories where parents don't get that for their very young children. And now, of course, we've got teenagers and young people really scared. Are they right to be scared?
Well, I think the stats show that I think if we're going on the national stats, 1 student in 8 at university is unprotected because they haven't been vaccinated.
Wow.
So if you put them all in a nightclub, and most people in that age group are carrying the bugs in the back of their throat, and you do the things that young students did, as I remember doing, and I'm sure you do as well, you end up with bugs moving from mouth to mouth very quickly, and the disease spreads.
And again, when my son went to university, he did get a meningitis vaccine. I was most insistent on that.
Absolutely.
Is that still offered to university students?
It certainly is, but since COVID, the vaccination rate has dropped from something like 88% down to 70%. And as you know, there's this thing called herd immunity, and that's really the key. I mean, you've got a herd of students. You want them to be basically immune. And so if you've got a 70% vaccination rate, you're really running the risks.
So at the moment, we know of this cluster in Canterbury, in Kent, but there will be parents, quite rightly, really scared about their own children in universities, yes, even further away from that. Yes. What is the likely spread from this particular outbreak?
I think these outbreaks are rare, but it is interesting that every year we'll get 1 or 2 outbreaks in universities and education establishments dealing with the children, young people of that age. That'll happen every year, because they're the ones most at risk. The immunity from the meningitis vaccines we give when they're babies is wearing out. And if they haven't been vaccinated in their teenage years, then they haven't got that immunity. So, and they do extraordinary things. I love this bit in one of the papers saying, it's a bit like having a hangover. I mean, we spend most of our lives in Precious Week having a hangover, but that hangover could be the last day of your life.
And that's the thing, isn't it? It is spotting it because it can mimic, so many other things. A bit of flu, all of those things. Especially as young people are always catching bugs from each other, and they're mostly benign. So what are they supposed to be looking out for specifically? Is there one thing that can tell them that this is more serious than just a hangover or a cold?
I think it is jolly difficult to teach medicine and pediatrics to everybody in the country. But speaking personally, when you see someone with meningitis, it just takes one look and you know that they're very ill indeed and need the penicillin. And in the old days, of course, before vaccines, and I'm afraid I'm old enough to remember, you would have the penicillin on your desk or in the fridge, and you saw someone potentially with meningitis, and you gave them the penicillin before the ambulance was called, because you just were worried that when you got someone really ill with shut down, I guess some of the things you talk about is they feel ill, they feel dreadful, their hands and feet are freezing cold, they're breathing fast, they're quite often got lots of GI symptoms, so they may be vomiting as well. And then you do get the classic meningitis symptoms as well, which the stiff neck and the light sensitive to your eyes. Those are the things that come on. But everybody says, oh, you must do the glass test to look for a rash. Well, the rash is a late part of the disease, and by then you're running out of time. So if you do see the rash, jump straight away. I remember one case, I'm sorry to go on, but a student came in to see me. He was very ill. We combed his body for the rash, and we found one spot between his toes.
Wow. Because that's the other thing as well. I was always told not to rely on that as a test for meningitis. Like you said, it comes on really late.
Yeah, absolutely right, yeah. But it did. And luckily I was working next door to the A&E department, and we had the penicillin in him, and he did well.
And the thing is with meningitis is that it can lead to, even if you do get it and you do survive it, depending on how late on it is, it can lead to some really significant injuries, can't it?
I did. As a young pediatric SHO, I was taken round the regional meningitis unit, and there would be children there recovering from meningitis, and they'd have had an arm cut off or a leg cut off. They lose limbs. It's a horrible disease.
Is that sepsis? Is that a...
Yes, it's the overwhelming infection that just eats up your skin. It's the original sort of flesh-eating bug, yes. And so you have to cut the limb out, otherwise it spreads to the whole body.
So with parents now listening to this and their kids are maybe just started or only been at uni for a few months, what should they be saying to them, even if they're not in Canterbury? Do you expect to see an uptick now in these young people presenting for meningitis vaccines?
I do hope so. I mean, I think as a world, we've become very vaccine anti-vax, and it's a tragedy. I mean, Edward Jenner stuck cowpox on people's skins and cured smallpox 200 years ago. And vaccines apart from clean water, are the most effective health invention we've ever had. And they really have saved millions and millions of lives. And I know everybody will get angry when I say this, but the data says COVID vaccinations saved 20 million lives.
It is interesting, though, isn't it, that people are so, like you said, anti-vax at the moment, or have they just become, I don't know, a bit blasé about these diseases? Measles, for example, people go, oh, it's measles, and we've seen children die from measles. It would just become a bit blasé because we haven't seen it. It hasn't been so much in our faces.
I think that's absolutely right. I think it's old fuddy-duddies like me who've seen it and can remember the terrible epidemics of measles we used to have, and the horrific cases of meningitis. We haven't lived through that, although we did live through it with COVID, for heaven's sake. We had a pretty grim time during COVID. But again, people live in their own bubbles now. You're the exception. You've got a national station and people are listening to you, but most people don't listen to anything. They're just staring at their TikTok screens, and the algorithms feed them what they want to hear.
So for any young person at uni, can they just contact their GP and ask for
Absolutely. It's completely free on the NHS. They can get it up to the age of 25. So wherever you are in any institution, if you haven't been vaccinated, you don't want to be one of those 1 in 8 that goes to a nightclub and catches meningitis.
Yeah, and it's as easy as that. It's as easily transmissible.
As easy as that.
Great to speak to you. Thank you very much indeed. Dr. David Lloyd, a North West London GP. All right, stay where you are. We're heading backstage to the Oscars next.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, this is Talk and it is Petrie here with you until 1 o'clock. And at midnight, of course, it is the phone in. And I do want to talk to you about how do we get out of this mess in the Middle East? And Donald Trump, is he becoming desperate now, do you think? The whole idea that he doesn't need the oil, he's not doing it for himself, he's doing it for us. And the whole of the Middle East region, he's attacked Iran. And now he's saying that unless we step up and help him, which is just a test because he doesn't really need us to. America have got this completely under control, apparently. This is a test, and if we fail the test in some way, then NATO is in peril. That's basically what he's threatening with. He can't threaten us with tariffs anymore, so he's threatening us with the end of NATO, which frankly he's been threatening for some time, right? This isn't new. This isn't the new language from Donald Trump. But I'm just curious to know, because when I first talked about this, you know, how much should Britain get involved? And I said that I felt that Keir Starmer had done the right thing in not allowing attacks from our territory, but allowing defensive strikes, that was within the bounds of what's expected. So I want to know from you, and it seems like a lot of the country now are accepting that we should not be dragged into this. Germany have said, absolutely not, we're not getting dragged in. This is not NATO's war. Back off. This has got nothing to do with us. And a lot of other countries as well are saying we're not getting dragged into another Middle East war that could go on for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. We're just not going to do that. So are we displaying cowardice because we don't want Iran to be, you know, attacking us? Are we displaying sense? Is Keir Starmer being sensible? Or do you think that if America says jump, we should just always say how high? They're our ally, for goodness sake. Why would they get us embroiled in something bad for us again and again? So that's the question. Give me a call, 0344 499 1000. Now, though, let's head to LA and check out the backstage gossip with Sandro Monetti, showbiz journalist and film producer in Los Angeles. Sandro, lovely to see you. It's been a while.
Lovely to see you. Yes, let's do the wrap up on the biggest award show in the world. So I love seeing how the winners celebrate afterwards. So Best Actor winner Michael B. Jordan, he celebrated with a hamburger, delighting the late night crowds at In-N-Out Burger in Los Angeles, where before going to the Vanity Fair party, realized he was hungry after that 7-hour ceremony and decided to get a burger and fries with his Oscar on the table.
Yeah, he looked. I saw the video of that. He looked so. I mean, it was just brilliant for him to do that. And really down to earth. He just went in there to buy burgers for himself and his mates. It was very sweet, actually.
It was a great moment, and then everyone was asking where was Sean Penn?
Yes,
Sean Penn making Oscar history, tying the record for actors with 3 Oscar wins in his career now.
Why didn't he turn up?
He was in Ukraine. He decided to go and visit his mate Vladimir Zelensky. Now, there's some history here. Sean Penn gave his first Oscar, one for Mystic River, to Vladimir Zelensky as a present, and he threatened to melt down his second one with various protests with the Academy. He even though he made history, he didn't care. He'd rather spend his time in Ukraine than in Hollywood. As much an activist as an actor, he robbed us of that historic sort of photograph of the hat trick of Oscars. But that's his preference.
Yeah, it was what was the name of the guy that took the award? He gave the award and took the award for him, because he was a bit of a brush off. He said, Sean Penn's not here. He didn't want to be.
Yeah, that was Kieran Culkin.
That's it.
Who said that he won last year and was so delighted, gave a memorable speech last year in that category. And so he said Sean Penn couldn't be here tonight, or didn't want to be, which got a laugh, because those of us in Hollywood know that Sean Penn, has a very low regard for award shows. The last one he turned up at, he got in trouble for smoking throughout it. That was the Golden Globe Awards in January. So, yes, lighting up cigarettes throughout the whole ceremony, blowing smoke in the face of Leonardo DiCaprio, his co-star in one battle after another, which was the big winner last night.
That was the big winner last night. I tell you what, I was thrilled to see was Amy Madigan getting the Best Supporting Actor for her role in Weapons, which I just thought was an astonishingly brilliant film.
Yes, it was, wasn't it?
It really was.
But you don't expect horror films, which that was, to do well at the Oscars. But the times they are changing, of course, because Sinners, which won 4, was, for all intents and purposes, a horror film as well. So times are shifting in Hollywood. I'm co-producing an erotic thriller later this year, so maybe that could break into the Oscars as well.
Of course you are.
Look out for the intimacy coordinator this time next year.
It's looking at the Oscars though this year. There was no great controversy, was it? I mean, apart from Timothée Chalamet being poked fun at constantly, did his reaction towards opera and ballet cost him the Oscar, do you think, or was he just not going to get it for that role anyway?
It was one of many contributing factors. I was really sad to see him not win. And also, I didn't like how the tone of the ceremony seemed to be increasingly sort of picking on Timothée Chalamet. People in Hollywood have done a lot worse things than criticize ballet and opera, but it just seemed like a bit of a pile-on. He was, a good sport to, put a smile on his face, laughing at being the butt of all the jokes. Others would say, well, he was the architect of his own downfall. This was the longest Oscar campaigning season ever. It went on for 6.5 months.
Wow.
And Timothée Chalamet, who was absolutely robbed last year, definitely should have won for his performance as Bob Dylan in A Complete Unknown. And then so he really campaigned all out for Marty Supreme. A lot of Oscar voters said to me, he wants it too much. And that's a turnoff. Sean Penn clearly didn't want it at all and yet won. So how do you know
it's
how
always
to play
the way.
these
Whenever
these
I've gone
things?
for a job that I don't want, I've always been offered it. It's always the way. It was a little bit political, the Oscars, but they were told to keep that to a bare minimum, weren't they?
Well, that's all part of the fun of the Oscars for me. I love the political statements, which no one wants to hear from actors, but they make them anyway. Javier Bardem was among those leading the charge. He was supposed to present an award, but instead just gets up to the mic and the first thing he says is "Stop all wars, free Palestine." So yeah, I mean the Conan O'Brien was touching at it a bit, but not going sort of too far. And so, yes, I mean, it's a ridiculous occasion, the Oscars, and no one wants to hear political speeches, but actors continue to make them.
Jimmy Kimmel, who I'm a big fan of, I have to be honest with you, he poked a bit at Donald Trump and the freedom of the press, didn't he?
He really did, and he presented the award for Best Documentary, making great fun of the fact that the documentary about the First Lady, was not among the nominees. Whether it will be at the Golden Raspberry Awards, I guess we will have to see. But
yeah. Was that made in time to make it to the Oscars list?
It wasn't, but why spoil a good joke?
Why spoil
anyway?
A good joke?
It was. Yeah. You have to have a movie released before December 31st.
That's what I thought.
Before the Oscars.
Yeah.
And of course that documentary came out in January. So we'll see how much of a campaign there is for that next year. Don't hold your breath.
Yeah. Was this Oscars quite boring? I mean,
well,
we've seen other Oscars where other, slappings and, all sorts of things going on. Was this just really dull? Were people in the mood for this, given the war in Iran and American soldiers coming back in coffins and in body bags?
So it's always a difficult task for the host at these award shows. I always think those are the worst jobs ever. And Conan O'Brien last year, Los Angeles was on fire, and he had to sort of make jokes while the fires were still going on, and this time look at the state of the world is not exactly a laughing matter for many of us. But I would say under difficult circumstances, he got the tone pretty much right. But yes, the Oscars, are boring, especially for the first 2 hours before they get to the really big categories. But it's their own fault. They've missed an opportunity here. This was the 98th Oscars. They're still doing it the same way, giving out the awards in the same order, having the same essential format. So this is really going to change in 3 years' time with the 101st Oscars, which goes to YouTube. So it's been on broadcast television in the past, but now the Academy has sold the rights from 3 years' time onwards to YouTube, which is quite clever in my view, because it goes where the largest audience is. It's not so much there in traditional broadcast television. How the Oscars will change to fit that new audience is going to be fascinating. No one's going to be putting up with 5.5-minute speeches or political statements. It's all going to be about the sound bites and the clicks. So yeah, we've got the 100th Oscars to look forward to in 2 years' time, and then a whole new era for this huge ceremony when it goes to YouTube. So yeah, big changes ahead, I expect.
What did you think of the distribution of the Oscars this time? Do you think it was fairly done? Was it a meritocracy? Was it on merit, or was there? Do you think some people who weren't deserving?
No, I rarely think it's fair. I think the voters tend to follow a sort of herd mentality, and follow the particular favourites. It's very harsh on Marty Supreme to end up with nothing at all. But as we've already discussed, the campaigning of Timothée Chalamet might have cost them a lot there. So everyone's got their favourites, of course. But I do think that when it came to Best Picture, even though Sinners had the most nominations, one battle after another got the win. And I think a lot of times with Best Picture, it comes down to the right movie at the right time. You're asking me the question a moment ago about the way things are in the world at the moment. And if you analyze that movie, yes, you know, it's got the traditional elements, which is lots of action, lots of chases, lots of character drama. But what it really has is an anxiety about authoritarianism. And that's what's going on in the United States and the larger world at the moment.
Sandro, that's what I was reading, that it just was to hit the right note at the right time. Sandro Monetti, thank you very much indeed, showbiz journalist and film producer in LA.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Good evening to you. This is Talk, and it is Petrie here. And of course, coming up at the top of the hour, it is Talkback. So it's your chance to do exactly that. And I do want to talk to you about what's going on in the Middle East at the moment, because the war of words is heating up, as well as, it appears, the war of bombs and innocent people being killed. So there are a lot of questions to ask you about this, but I do want to know, just how far do you think we should go to support Donald Trump? How much should we do to support? He's said already, look, we don't need any of these people's help. We've got it all under control. We don't need anybody's help, but I'm testing these countries to see who's going to step up to help me, even though he doesn't need the help. And he has said that if NATO's in trouble, basically, if people don't step up to help him. A lot of the NATO countries, though, are saying this is not NATO's war. This is not NATO's war. It wasn't. Nobody talked to us beforehand. There was no consensus about how this was going to start, or how this was going to continue, or even how this was going to finish. It has created a massive problem for global economies around the world. Although Trump again says, well, we don't need. It's not our. We don't need the Strait of Hormuz. We've got loads of oil. The trouble is that that with America, yes, they do have a lot of oil, but it's the wrong sort of oil. It's heavy oil, so it's got to be sent to Canada to be refined. That's what they've been having to do, and then they get it back. But also, that doesn't answer for why petrol prices at the pumps in America are going up and up. If they're okay, if the Strait of Hormuz has no real effect on them, so I don't buy that either. But there's no doubt about it that it's having an effect and will continue to have an effect around the world. Japan has said that they're not interested in getting involved, even though Japan is heavily reliant on the oil that comes through the Strait of Hormuz, heavily reliant, and they're saying they've got about 8 months left of oil, so something's got to happen. Donald Trump is also insisting that China get involved, although Iran has said if they're Chinese tankers, they'll let them through. So some tankers are getting through. So Iran, earlier on today I was reading, I haven't substantiated it, so I'd have to triple check it, but they were saying, look, as long as you're not involved with America or Israel, as long as your tanker's fuel isn't going anywhere to support them, then we will let those tankers go through, providing you pay for that oil in yuan, in Chinese currency, not in the petrodollar. Now, if that is true, that is a real kick in the teeth for America, who is entirely reliant on its economy on the petrodollar. It allows it to borrow, it allows it, because there's such a powerful mechanism around the world, the petrodollar. So there's been a lot of talk about, weaning ourselves off paying in dollars, which America, of course, is absolutely not happy about. But how much should we get involved? Look, if we get involved in the Strait of Hormuz, it could go on for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. No, there's no end to it. That's the thing. That's the point. There is no end date. There is no end plan. So do we send ships there? Well, we haven't really got that many. We have 2 autonomous boats that can work with mines, but there's no suggestion that the strait is mined, because all it will take along the whole coastline there of Iran is small boats or missiles coming from those shores. And that leads me to the next issue. And the next issue is that Donald Trump is sending thousands of Marines to the region. They are boots on the ground soldiers. That's what they do. So where are they going to put those boots? Well, the theory is, of course, on the coast of Iran. Well, Iran is not going to take kindly to the great Satan's boots being on Iranian soil. They're not just going to let them get away with it. So what happens then? You get dragged into a land war. And these soldiers are on the way. They will be there in a week and a half. So what happens then? There doesn't appear to be any negotiating going on. Iran has flatly refused. And Israel is off doing its own thing in Lebanon. So it's almost using the cover of what's going on with Iran to carry on their own agenda in Lebanon. So the whole thing is a mess. So having started this with no exit strategy and no plan, and look, Iran should never be allowed to have nuclear weapons. A lot of countries shouldn't be allowed to have nuclear weapons. But this is going to make countries get nuclear weapons. That's what they're going to do. They're going to say, well, look, we need to defend ourselves. If it's all about me first, if it's all about my country first, we need nuclear weapons. So you're going to see, again, this explosion, excuse the expression, of countries wanting their own nuclear defence. So has this made the world safer? No. Absolutely not. Quite the opposite. But Donald Trump, now desperately looking for an exit strategy, is expecting other countries to go in and sort out the Strait of Hormuz. Almost like they didn't expect that to happen. They didn't expect it to happen. So I want to know how far we should go. How far should we go? How far do we need to go? What should we be doing? When Donald Trump says he said he's surprised by our lack of enthusiasm. Who on earth would enthusiastically go into a war? That's just counterintuitive. So, how far do we go? That's really the question. How far do we go? And having seen what's been going on, do you now support Keir Starmer's initial response, which was, we're not getting dragged into this? In fact, it is his response today as well. We're not getting dragged into it. Germany said, not getting dragged into it. Japan, loads of countries said, we're not getting dragged into this. We're just not doing it. So, give me a call, 0344 499 1000. Calls are charged at the national rate, but we do call you back. And text the word talk and your message to 87222. Well, joining me now to discuss this and to have a look at the papers is the fabulous Claire Muldoon.
Hi, Petrie. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Not too bad, thanks.
I'm very pleased to hear that. Look, I mean, I would be a lot better if the world wasn't in flames right now.
Oh, gosh.
I spend my entire time, as you can imagine, just watching and reading everything that there is possible to be read and watched, which is not very relaxing. But what do you make of Donald Trump now saying that he's surprised that we're not more enthusiastic about joining in with this war?
I think the difficulty that Starmer has, and in fact the rest of the West have actually, is the fact that Trump has got no exit strategy. There is no plan at all.
No.
He's gone in there on the back of his speech to the nation, where he said quite categorically and made a big point about it, Iran will never be able to have any form of nuclear warhead or anything at all to do with nuclear arms at all. And everyone thought, well, that's right, they shouldn't, they ought not to. But then, woof, in he goes. But what Iran have done is capitulated in that they have fought this war economically by shutting off the Straits of Hormuz, by enabling the disparity between oil prices going up and going down. They seem to be in control of it.
Yeah.
And that's the key. They are economically wringing the neck of the West in terms of their ability to get the oil out that they need. But that brings me back to domestically. I don't think that Starmer and Rees have, guaranteed our domestic energy at all. And that's been a key issue. And for Starmer to stand up today in his 5-point speech about all of this, and he chatted about his call to Trump on Sunday night, etc., etc., he then started to blame the cost of living crisis on this, that's only merely started 3 weeks ago. Now, when there was talk of Starmer putting boots on the ground in Ukraine, everyone was up in arms. We don't want to get involved in this war. We don't want our boys going in. But the grim reality, Petrie, was we don't have the boots on the ground to put them in. We can't afford the boots on the ground to go in. So if we can't afford it there, we sure as heck can't afford to send them into Iran. And also, on that, domestically, we've still got the King's visit to America coming up in April that still hasn't been cancelled. And in my view, I don't think it should be cancelled. I think the King ought to go. And then, of course, the World Cup, which Iran are part of, to be held in America in the summer. Now, someone else mooted the point that this will not be over, if at all, until at least November. Where on earth does that leave us all? Mark Carney from Canada, whom you quite rightly said has to refine all the crude oil from America before it gets filtered, metaphorically and literally back in to the States, is in England. He was meeting with Starmer today. What is going on? We see this shift. Reeves, in some of the front pages that we'll touch on today, has hinted that, it's this Brexit reset. We need to be stronger with Europe. And they're now posing that on the back of this Iran war as well. When we know, even before this happened, last year, Reeves, in one of her pre-budget speeches, was saying, we need to, this is all because of Brexit, we need to realign ourselves with Europe. This government seemed to be making up excuses for everything that's happened geopolitically, domestically, and financially in this country on this Iran war, which was just 3 weeks ago. They're definitely riding on the coattails of something here, Petrie, which I don't think is conducive, nor is it helpful for us, the British people.
Do you think that, Donald Trump, having lost the power of the tariff threat, right?
Yeah.
Because Congress took that away,
Yes.
I have no doubt that he would be talking about tariffs right now if he could, to those countries who don't get involved. But he's now threatening, not for the first time, and certainly not this year, not last year, and not in the last 8 years, threatening the end of NATO, basically.
Yes.
Not even.
Well, he
fine
doesn't
with it.
like NATO.
No, he never
Because
has.
he never has. And, NATO as itself now really has to be, I think it might be the beginning and the end of NATO. You never know, because they have to come out formidably and give an answer, give direction, which they're not doing. And of course, remember, Trump was saying, well, why should America fund most of the NATO countries and NATO alliances when people don't even step up to the mark to pay their dues? And he had a point to a certain extent.
Oh, he had a point on people not paying, but I don't believe he has a point in trying to drag NATO into this.
No, he's not bigger than NATO.
No.
He likes to think he is.
Yeah.
I made the suggestion today that Starmer might have to take be a bit tougher with Trump. But then, I looked to Spain, what happened there, and he just, rifled Spain.
But what do we do? Do we then capitulate to a bully? Because that's what that is. That is, us saying, well, we better be nice to him because otherwise he'll hit us harder. That's bullying tactics. Or do we say, enough's enough?
Well, that's the other option, just to, play him at his own game and say, look, I think you need to be very, very hard with Trump, and I think you need to give him a taste of his own medicine, to be honest. It's getting to a stage now that he's just not listening to anyone.
No.
And Hexit, for heaven's sake, it's Secretary of State for Defence.
I mean, he's
Secretary
enjoying
of
this
State.
way too
Let
much.
me just leave it there. I mean, where is J.D. Vance and where is Marco Rubio? Marco Rubio is a great statesman, and he can tease things out and present them in a way that people will feel confident in it. But Hexeth at the moment, I'm sorry, it's just...
He's drunk on power. I mean, he's drunk on the war.
Which he did have an issue with before all
Which
this,
he did,
remember?
Pete Keg's breath, they call him. But I mean, he's enjoying this way nobody should enjoy war.
No war.
There's 13 dead Americans now, and those families affected forever. There's thousands of them who've been injured, and J.D. Vance is now trying to distance himself. There's a story came out where Vance is a little bit pushing away from Donald Trump now because he can see the writing on the wall, and that story would not have got out if J.D. Vance hadn't approved it. So it's really interesting to see the political shenanigans that are going on in America,
and the dynamics, and of course still no mention of the Epstein files.
I know. Many people are saying this is the world's biggest distraction.
Yeah, well, it's a bit far, to push this as a distraction in my view, but people are saying it.
Yeah, people are saying it, and I would agree it would be monstrous if it were. But I don't think there's a tolerance in the US for more dead soldiers, and that is certainly what they'll get if they put boots on the ground.
Interestingly, BBC iPlayer have got Platoon on at the moment, and I think they've just added it in. And I started watching it yesterday. I watched about an hour and a half of it, and I thought, my God, the American invasion of Vietnam, Cambodia, and, to get rid of the Khmer Rouge. And I mean, there was evil on both sides, really. It's just... And
War
Nixon,
is
of course,
disgusting.
and Watergate, it is absolutely repulsive.
War is
and it
absolutely
brings
disgusting.
out the worst in everyone. But people profit from it as well, Petrie, as well,
Well, the worst person profiting at the moment, of course, is Vladimir Putin. 6 billion.
And China.
But Putin, who was going to use that money against Ukraine, 6 billion in the last few days, 400 million a day. And sanctions being lifted, he's dancing the jig, isn't he? Extraordinary. I mean, honestly, you couldn't make this stuff up.
Where is Bibi Netanyahu? Where is he?
Yeah, but he put out that AI video, didn't he, of him in a coffee
got
shop.
5 fingers in a coffie shop.
Yeah.
It's so scary.
It really is, and it's mad. It's just mad. I can't. I'm going, am I making this? Is this, what is going on in the world? It literally is the worst I've ever seen it. So anyway, that's what I'm going to be talking about at midnight. Give me a call, 0344 499 1000, Claire Muldoon, and I will be back in just a moment to go through the papers.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, this is Talk and it's Petrie, and with me, the fabulous Claire Muldoon. And Claire, looking at the Sun newspaper, mum's meningitis fears, it could be that sharing vapes, so not necessarily having a snog on the dance floor, but sharing vapes could have been the spreader of this horrendous disease.
And this story is in front of practically every single bar a couple of newspapers going through for tomorrow's news. And the Sun are the only ones to pick up this vape story. And I think, well, you know what kids are like. They will, they do share vapes.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's what they do. But this, I mean, as you know, there's two strains of meningitis. There's the viral and there's the bacterial. Viral is what of my notes here. Is self-limiting. You will get better from it. But it's the bacterial one. 1 in 10 will be dead within 24 hours if not treated appropriately.
It's terrifying.
And of course, the symptoms are very, very similar to that of the flu, a hangover, or etc. Why on earth has this come up now? I got all mine vaccinated, although my eldest put into our group chat tonight, "Mum, did we get vaccinated?" Yes, you did. "Oh, but we didn't get this one." And another daughter went, "Well, how do you know?" "Oh, it wasn't rolled out to 2015. And I'm racking my brains thinking, okay, you started uni in 2016. You must have got it at school.
Must have got it.
Because it was something that I would have got for them.
Yeah, I know that Jake did. I took him in and made him have it. And because he'd got meningitis when he was 11 weeks old. He had the bacterial meningitis when he was 11 weeks old.
Good grief.
It's absolutely terrifying. And he was 5 weeks prem as well. So he was absolutely tiny. But I spotted it and insisted that he was treated and looked after. It was terrifying. He had both his arms in plaster, and fluids going in one arm and antibiotics going in the other. I think it was 5 days. Extraordinary.
Goodness me.
A really very, very dangerous disease. And we were always taught to be meningitis aware. Do you remember, Claire, when we were younger?
Yes.
I don't know whether that was something that, because it was around much more, but there was this thing about being meningitis aware, especially as mums, right?
Yeah, well, that's where I got my awareness from. You remember the glass technique of rolling the glass over?
Yeah, and
what's moved?
And I also know that you can present with meningitis without having the rash. And I remember the hospital saying to me, "I just rolled a glass." I said, "I'm not going to diagnose my own kid. I'm coming in and you're going to deal with it." Yeah. Because it happens so quickly, this disease, and this is the issue. But I was talking to a doctor earlier on, and he said there's only 70% immunity. There's not herd immunity. Because people have been rejecting vaccines.
Yes.
And it is killing these young people.
And it's the spread of it. That's the worry as well. It is rampant.
Yeah.
Absolutely rampant. And it kills. It kills
very quickly.
Healthy young people.
Yeah. And if you do survive the bacterial one, the chances of you having brain disease, brain injury, or having to have limbs amputated, just get the vaccine. And I'm hoping that mums around the country now are saying, look, just go and see your doctor and get this vaccine. Yeah. It's free up to the age of 25. So anybody who's at uni at the moment that is not protected from this disease, just get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be my advice as well. Yeah. And I'm the only advice I can give as a mother.
Yeah.
Not obviously being medically trained or anything.
And just be really aware. Just look for those. And in babies, it's very difficult to spot because, of course, they're not complaining about a headache. They're not complaining. I mean, the reason I knew it had happened to Jake was that he was just incredibly floppy. That is another sign. Listless. If you've got a baby and you lift them up by their body, if their arms completely flop and their hands are cold, just get them checked out. That would be my advice, because it can happen very, 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 very quickly. And he was a tiny little thing, 5 weeks prem.
And it's also better to be on top of it, i.e. on top of your symptoms, and just go and get checked out.
Yeah.
much better to do that than leave it too late.
Yeah, and go and see a GP, and if you're a young person and you think it's a hangover and it's and it's not. Maybe the headaches are really bad, stiff neck, any of those things. Go.
And if ever there was another lesson in not to vape, it's this.
Don't share. Well, at least don't share.
Well, at least don't share one.
Don't share, but young people will be young people, and if they're not sharing vapes, then they're having a snog on the dance floor, and that's how it's transmitted. And this is why at universities, particularly, they give out these vaccines. So
it used to be Freshers' Throat, remember?
Yeah.
With the mumps.
Yeah. I hate to imagine what else goes around. But anyway, let's have a look at the Times now. The Times is saying that health bosses were too slow with their warnings over the meningitis alert. Tributes were paid to a schoolgirl who died. I mean, this is so tragic, isn't it?
It really is. It really is. But you can blame health. I mean, it's just one of these things that's happened. Let's not try and apportion any blame at the moment. Let's just try and get kids educated. Yeah, get hold of your symptoms, get it seen to, get it managed, and get treated.
Yeah,
that's it.
And if you
like headlines like this,
I agree.
And if you're meningitis alert,
if you're further away, if you're not in Canterbury, just go and get the vaccine. Just
absolutely,
just do that. Right?
Just go and do it. It might save your life.
Yeah. Just exactly that. This is very, very serious. The other story, Trump turns fire back on Starmer.
Yep. Terrible
to refuse warships for the Gulf. Threat to end US military support for Ukraine. We knew that was coming. And PM vows not to be drawn into the war.
Now, I think Keir Starmer finds himself in a rather good position here. Because for the first time, I think he's managed to get right into the centre of that Venn diagram. He's got the support of his backbenchers on this. He's got the support of his cabinet party in this. And it would seem he's got the support of the public. And I don't think he has ever been in that position before.
I agree.
So and that's real.
He's come out of this looking, I think, quite strong, because there were so many people against his decision, and they were shouting at him the next day, and this is terrible, all the other parties saying we should have done what Donald Trump wanted us to do. And against all of that, he stood firm. And I'm no big fan of Keir Starmer, as I know you're not. But as he said today in his speech, he's leading, not following.
Yeah, it was a bit of a bold move, but he did say, he said an awful lot of other things in that speech as well. I got to 0.5 and I was like, wait, what's 0.5?
Yeah, what was 0.1 even?
What was? I think that was the oil.
Oh yeah.
For oil. But at least now Starmer has got Macron and Merz from Germany, and they all seem to be singing from the same hymn sheet.
Yeah.
They're all very, very cautious. I wonder if Tony Blair will come out and say anything now after him coming out, his voluble denials of saying to Starmer, you should not be taking the lead with America. You should not be taking the stance that you're doing, that you are taking. So it'll be interesting to see what his view is. Not that I rate him or whatever, but I'm sitting back almost with a half box of popcorn eating, just thinking, what is going to happen now?
As if Blair learned nothing from piling into Iraq when Bush said, will you come in? And then Blair was like, yes, whatever it is you want.
Do you know the other lovely thing, though? I mean, well, it's not a lovely thing, but it's something that I've noticed. For the first time ever, print journalism has actually caught up with what's happening daily in politics around the world, because a lot of it is opinion pieces now.
Yeah.
And this is why it's so important to read the broad spectrum of print journalism we have in this country to get the full picture.
I agree.
Because when we go through the papers in a while, you will see the Guardian and the Mirror taking a different stance from the headlines of the Times, of the Telegraph, and of course the Daily Mail is just in a class of its own, isn't it really? But it's so important, and it's really lovely to see, actually. Even the FT have got some great op-eds.
They really have. They're doing well, actually, the FT.
And I think that is on the back of, unfortunately, the Observer being closed down. And I think a lot of the decent journalists from there went over to the FT. But it's fascinating now, because I've got subscriptions, as I'm sure you do as well, for all the main ones. The Daily Mail's still a guilty pleasure on the app, but I will not go Mail Plus online. What you do for that is you just go to the comments, and then everyone tells you what's in that piece anyway. You can't see because it's behind a paywall.
Yeah,
that's the trick. So it's actually, that's one of the refreshing things for me that's come out of this. And it would, and even podcasts now are actually quite good in it, because you've got people, from various degrees, like Emily Maitlis and Lewis and John Sopel, and then you've got the what's his face, Rory Stewart, and they're all, whether or not you agree with them or not, it's really good to hear formed opinions and to find out why their opinion has been formed in a way. And it's quite, you say hindsight's a wonderful thing, and indeed with this war, I just can't wait to, catapult myself over for 10 years or 5 years from now and look back to see the way it's all played out, because I don't think anyone actually knows.
No.
Because the problem with that is, the problem who sent everything to war, Trump and Netanyahu, they don't know how it's going to go.
No.
The only one that's been planning it for years has been Benjamin Netanyahu.
Well, Iran has been preparing for about 20 years for invasion as well, so they're pretty, pretty well organised in that regard. But yeah, I mean, there is no way of seeing the end of this because there is no strategy, and that's the problem.
That's the problem.
If we knew what the end goal was, we could look out for the end goal, right? The aim of this is to do X. But nobody's saying that, and it keeps changing, and so the ending of this keeps changing. And one thing we know for certain is that Iran, all they've got to do is survive. They don't care about the people of Iran. They don't care about all the innocent people that are being slaughtered.
I care about those 90 million, half of which are made up of women who cannot live their life. They've got public executions even now in Iran. It's disgusting. They're okay, it's a work of fiction, but Tehran on Apple is a fantastic series. It is really unbelievable. The Mossad infiltration and the what they do, and the way that the Iranians have been, captured and captivated by their own regimes. It's ridiculous. And any theocracy, in my view, is bad.
I agree.
So I think I really wish there was more light being put on, the fact of those poor the poor Iranian girls footballers that went to Australia. I mean, these were devastating girls who, some went back to their own country for fear if they'd stayed, because Australia did leave them.
It's 5 of them
free
now.
Passage.
Five out of 7 are saying that they're going to go back, but their families are probably being threatened. So,
well, they would be. Yeah. They would be. So I think we need to discuss that as well when we're discussing the whole disaster Trump Netanyahu invasion. We need to remember these innocent lives, these lives that have been, programmed to not be lives. They can't live.
Yeah. Oh, awful! What an unholy mess. Talking about a holy war.
Yeah, got that.
Quick break, Claire. Back in a second.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, this is Talk, and it's Petrie, and with me, Claire Muldoon, and...
I'm just polishing my glasses.
Oh, I have to do that all the time. Mine are filthy. I can barely see through mine most of the time.
I know.
The Daily Mail... thousands told get help now for meningitis risk. That's the whole front page. The Daily Telegraph as well, going race to stop meningitis spreading nationwide. Yeah, this is the worry with this disease. The idea that it could spread much further and really quickly. So like we said, get your vaccines in. This story here, Ayatollah's son escaped death by popping into the garden for a stroll. This is Iran's new supreme leader survived US and Israeli airstrikes because he stepped outside for a walk in his garden minutes before his home was hit by missiles.
It's a leaked recordings obtained by the Telegraph that reveal that Mojtaba Khamenei was targeted in the same attack that killed his father and other members of the Islamic Republican leadership. That's the other thing. Why hasn't the IRGC been prescribed a terrorist organisation? Surely that might help in some way deal with these mad mullahs. Other
countries have, haven't they? We have resisted it so far, which I find extraordinary. Not to do so. But we still have to say of the new Ayatollah that nobody's seen him.
Yeah.
So, and it doesn't matter if he's dead or alive, right? It doesn't matter, because the point is, if they say he's alive, then the regime is alive.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's the regime that needs to survive.
And it's the regime that they would say that rule the country. You know, that do not give anyone any rights at all. No. And they're being more hardline, if that's possible, with the population of Iran during this war to really stamp out any possibility of any sort of revolution. So that they're worse than they ever were before. And of course, what Donald Trump has now done by doing this is created a whole country of haters, and a whole, especially after the 168 little girls were killed on the first day because of dodgy AI and old intelligence that the AI had. I mean, this is terrifying. And the general consensus is that it was an American Tomahawk. Iran doesn't have Tomahawks. Yeah. So, what's that going to do to a nation? Right? That's if they've got that knowledge, because obviously there's a news blackout as well.
Well, they will definitely be giving out that information, but they'll also be saying that they're winning. But anything that would make Satan, the big Satan, look bad, you can bet your bottom dollar that information is out there. So this is just creating more and more hatred and more violence for the future. It never ends. The cycle never ends. Let's have a look at the Mirror now. Again, terror on campus, tragic meningitis outbreak, rush for antibiotics after 2 students die.
And let's hope they've got let's hope they've got the right antibiotics, though.
Yeah.
To deal with the strain. There's no point in giving out a panacea of antibiotic. It needs to be targeted, and it needs to be the right one. Yeah, absolutely. I hope that they do. But there were hundreds of young people queuing for these antibiotics, and some of them saying, "No, I wasn't at the club, and I don't know anybody who was involved, but I'm not taking any risks." Don't care. Go exactly. Go.
Absolutely. Just get. You don't know. Go.
Some risks you can manage. This one, not.
No, it moves far too quickly. The Guardian, the lovely picture of Jessie Buckley there, who's having, the 12 months of her life, isn't she, since Hamnet? Now got the Oscar, and the whole of the Oscars, one battle after another. I haven't seen that yet. Have you seen that yet?
You know, I tried to watch it and I just couldn't get into it.
Yeah, it's very...
And actually, you know, rather, you know, an unpopular opinion, I didn't like Hamnet.
Yeah, I mean, I started watching Hamnet, didn't.
I thought she was magnificent.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to see another film with Paul Mescal getting his kit off. I don't like that. Did every film he's blooming well in has to have involved something. And I thought it was quite darkly filmed. And I found it quite... No, I didn't like it at all. I loved the book, but I didn't like the film.
Yeah, the one battle after another. John here, my producer here, called it 1 hour after another. So it just dragged on. I was just like, why am I... You've got Sean Penn, Leonardo DiCaprio, you know, Tione, whatever her name is, he was wonderful in it. But you think, God, really, what? Yeah.
What's happening now?
Yeah.
Where are they? Who are they? Who are they supposed to be?
Why do we care?
And then a bit of, and they even had Benicio del Toro in it as well at one point. And I thought, this is so strange. And I'll tell you another film I lost the will to live in was Sinners. I thought that was such a stupid film.
Really?
Yeah, it was just stupid.
Have you seen Weapons yet?
No.
Oh, that's good.
And you know, I didn't know that the woman who won the Best Supporting Actress is married to Ed Cleave.
Oh, right. Amy...
And he was with her.
Yeah, I can't remember her.
It's ridiculous that we can't remember that, isn't it?
No, I can tell Magdigal or something. Hang on.
Yes.
Madigan. There we go.
Yes.
She is amazing in that. That is a great film, Claire. I can't recommend it highly enough.
Thank you.
It is amazing. It starts off you thinking it's one thing, and then you go,
see, I love that.
Oh, and she is brilliant. She's just so awful. But yeah, watch it. Watch Weapons and let me know what you think.
And the other one I wanted to watch was Experimental Journey, the Skarsgård one that won an Oscar for Best Film in Another Country. Sorry, in
another
foreign
language.
Yes,
in a foreign language.
That language, yeah.
That language thing.
Yeah. That's how we communicate.
Yeah, the films in the Oscars this time, we're so far behind that I'm just not attached to, apart from, you know, Weapons. And I was really thrilled to see her winning that because she absolutely deserved it. The Daily Star, I think the Hugh Edwards drama is coming out, isn't it? With
Martin Clunes,
who looks nothing like him, but everything like him.
Do you know what? Remember Steve Coogan did Savile?
Yeah. Oh, creepy as hell that was.
Hauntingly played.
Hauntingly brilliant. Yeah.
I think this might be on par.
Yeah. I mean...
It's a brave move by Martin Clunes, I think.
It really is. It really is.
I reckon it is.
I'm looking forward to seeing that, though. I think that would be interesting. I
cannot wait.
Yeah. And Jessie B, who won for Sinners, his Oscar, just going to a burger joint, because obviously the food at the Oscars is probably a bit poncy, I would have thought. So he just went
Michael B. Jordan, yeah.
He went into a local burger joint, just bought himself and his team.
Oscar.
Yeah, with his Oscar, bless him.
But wasn't Jessie Buckley lovely when she was, you know, from the chaotic heart of a mother? You know, she made her speech very much part of who she is. That's her identity.
Yeah, and I just love how joyful she is.
Oh, she's an amazing actress.
Yeah.
She's phenomenal. And to think she came up through anything, whatever that song, the Andrew Lloyd Webber programme.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, that's what she came second. And the girl who won that year is actually in Coronation Street now.
Oh.
Go figure. Come second. Same in X Factor. Ones that come second are often more
they're always the ones that go on and do better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's just quickly look at the Metro. Donald's trumped. NATO threat, a new broadside at Starmer as leaders refuse to send warships to face Iran's strike. He's going to be fuming.
Oh, he is. I mean, he really is. And that picture, that visual of Tehran, it's like almost like as if a volcano like Pompeii has erupted and covered everything in ash.
Oh, it looks exactly like Gaza, doesn't it?
Doesn't it?
Exactly like it. All that dust and debris and...
Debris.
just awful. And they're now sort of, it appears that they're just bombing Iran now. So all of those innocent people, it just, having said that he was going to go in and rescue them. That kind of rescue you really don't need, do you?
No.
Quick break, and Claire and I'll be back in a mo.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hi, this is Talk, and it's Petrie, and with me, the wonderful Claire Muldoon, to go through the papers. And the FT, actually, the interesting stories are actually on the inside bar, on the right-hand side, in my view. It says fertiliser shortage. We don't think about this, do we? The fertiliser shortages threaten a food shock worse than after Russia's 2022 invasion of Ukraine. And when you think about our inflation, the inflationary pressure of that, took us up to 10-11%.
Well, there was a report last week on the fact this fertilising shortage is going to really affect the crops in this country with the farmers.
Hugely.
And it just seems to, and okay, Starmer can say, well, we'll give you oil, which is needed in a lot of rural areas, both in Northern Ireland and here. But it will affect a lot of farmers as well. And they need to make sure we've got the fertiliser, because we are an island and we've wiled on enough that we need to be self-sufficient in our produce, but we can't if we can't grow the stuff.
I know. This really does expose.
Short-sighted.
It really exposes our weaknesses. Yeah, it really does. And it's good, because weaknesses should be exposed and they should be dealt with.
But Petrie, farmers have been telling the government this for months.
Yeah.
You know, they just seem to be lambasted all the time, our farmers. And it's about time we give them the due respect and the care that they need to farm for us. The milk, the dairy, the beef, the pork, the chicken, the poultry, everything. It's I'm so cross with it all.
I know, me too. And this story as well. India's crematoriums have stopped using gas to burn the dead as the energy squeeze hits South Asia hard. These are all issues that we tend, obviously, not to really think about, but these are huge issues. I mean, what does a society do in that instance, right?
Yeah,
it's horrific.
Horrific. And the one above that, we're coming up to the Easter period here, and Dubai is a stopover from flying from west over to the east, as you know. BA has cancelled all flights into Dubai until June. June, after a drone attack forced Emirates to reroute its planes. So they've taken decisive action.
It is absolutely, the knock-on, the ripple effect of this is what I know that Trump didn't even consider.
No,
it didn't even cross his mind.
Okay. No, and isn't it? I mean, I think it's good that this is all coming out actually, because it does expose everything. And where Iran is obviously geographically, the airspace there from the Middle East over to Iran and everywhere else is massive, absolutely massive.
Yeah, it is like I said, the ripple effect of that. Peter Mandelson's a lucky man, though, isn't he? He made quite a lot of money selling off his shares.
I mean, this has been nibs in quite a few of the other papers, but the FT put it front page, and okay, it's only three column inches, but Mandelson made 1.5 million from advice firm before colleagues were wiped out. That man is such a slippery, sleazy, slimy snake.
Yeah, he sold off all his
He's
shares.
a shapeshifter.
Sold off all his shares, and then the company went down.
Yeah, because he's so Labour, isn't he? You compare him to the likes of Tony Benn. Same party.
Yeah.
But the disparity.
Some people are just always just looking after themselves, aren't they? People like Mandelson always do okay. They always do.
Don't. Watching the Starmer speech today, Robert Peston from ITV stood up and he asked them a question about his, whatever it was, his energy or something like that. And then he spoke about Mandelson. I thought, why are you bringing that up? And then it dawned on me, it was ITV that got the picture of Mandelson, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, and Epstein
in dressing gowns.
In dressing gowns. And then the emails about him, procuring drugs and everything for cholesterol. It's just
Botox part.
Yes.
I mean, it just gets sleazier and sleazier and more pathetic. Let's have a look at the Independent. Not NATO's war. Allies reject Trump's call for help in the Strait of Hormuz. This is not going to go down well at all. And the Daily Express, Labour accused of blaming our EU departure rather than accepting their failures. Stop pointing the finger at Brexit and fix the economy. And God knows what the budget is going to do for us later on this year.
No, and I actually expected today the OBS to issue the cost of an average basket. I think it was supposed to be out today, I think. But they seem to be adding the weirdest things on. Remember a couple of years ago they added in a yoga mat?
Yeah.
Right, to the average basket. Now they've put in, I was reading hummus and
pet grooming
and something else. It's really strange. And the
alcohol-free beer.
That's it. The basket seems to have got massive now. I think there's over 100 items in it. I might be exaggerating for dramatic purposes, but you never know. And you think, well, just give us the figures. Tell us how much this has gone up. Why are you keeping this from us?
Yeah.
We know every time we go to the supermarket or get our online. But the cost of food is just astronomical.
It is ridiculous. I mean, I'm vegetarian, not by choice at the moment.
Yeah.
I just don't buy meat.
And the hunt for yellow stickers continues.
Yeah, I mean, I batch cook now and mostly vegetarian. Like I've got a cauliflower and I made a really nice, cauliflower soup that will see me through the week. That sort of thing.
I
love cauliflower soup. Roasted cauliflower soup. Are you kidding? It's delicious. The cost of living. And it was that spring statement as well was out of date by the time she started talking, let alone finished talking. It didn't even mention the war. It was absolutely ridiculous. One thing I did want to ask you, Ms. Muldoon, is isn't it good news about the Beaver being put on our money?
What do you mean?
Well, every 10 years or so, they change the images on the banknotes.
Yeah, oh, don't start on Winston Churchill, for God's sake.
Yeah, but they're putting an angry beaver on.
They're not.
They are. Well, I don't know about the angry bit. Yeah, like they're talking about putting beavers on the on the banknotes. I think that'll cheer everyone up, won't it?
Well, depending on what the beaver looks like, I think, and depending on the note, it has to be on quite a high value note, surely.
I would have said so personally for me. And the RSPCA want rats put on the banknotes as well. Well, I'm not entirely sure, but are you the least bit stressed about them changing the images on the banknotes? I'm not.
Do you know what? This is it was retold to me about a commentator was, say, oh, it's ridiculous removing Winston Churchill. That, it shows people, that foreigners coming into the country, what, we stand for and stuff like that. And this commentator was asked, well, what's on the euro? Oh, well, I don't know. Well, come on, you've just proved your point. Yeah. No one cares what's on the blooming nose.
No,
really.
No, I don't think anybody really looks. I mean, the only time that I've known,
no one uses it anymore. No one uses. They only use beavers.
Exactly.
Well, they might just start using beavers now.
Yeah. The only time I've ever really studied I don't know whether you did this. I think it was a £10 note that if you folded it in a certain way. Then you could do something not very pleasant and fairly disgusting to the image of the Queen.
It was just you that did that.
Surely not. It was the big. That's what everyone used to do in the pub. You used to fold the banknote in a certain way. No, they didn't.
Yeah. Everyone else is listening to Petrie's show tonight. Everyone in the pub did not used to do that.
They did.
No, they didn't. What pubs did you go into?
Because somebody showed me, and it was very rude.
I think we need to prove it. I think we'll need to get a tenner into. Was it a tenner?
I think it was a £10 note. Yeah.
Yeah, but they were larger back in the day when we were in pubs, and they were paper. They weren't plastic.
And it was and you can't fold them anymore. They bounce.
No.
So I don't think you can do it anymore. But I'm sure there are people listening that will remember the folding of. I think it was a £10 note in a particular way that you created a very rude thing with the Queen. Very disrespectful.
Very hugely.
But we found it funny. So
well, you must. What
am I going to say about that? Just finally, as well, the Bonkbuster movie rides again. Are you into Bonkbuster movies?
No.
Where's this movie? These big romantic. Have you seen the Heathcliff thing yet? The Wuthering Heights.
Do you know, I really want to watch it, but I don't want to watch it because of all the smut. I think it would just be like Emily Bronte doing a version of 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah.
That's what I think this would be like, and it's it's such a shame that these classics are being made.
I know, and it's such a classic, brilliant story in its own right. Anyway, it doesn't need any of that in it. But apparently, people now want to go and watch Bonkbusters. These big, bodice ripping. Why?
Why? Where do they get these people?
Well, I suppose it's like Rivals. But that's coming. That's coming back, isn't it?
That's brilliant. Those books were the books of my adolescence.
But they were the original. They are Bonkbusters, right? That's what they are. That's what they are. And
this isn't.
No. Well,
this is like. Is Paul Mescal in charge of bringing these out? Is he producing and directing and casting them all? Him in them all? How many times can I get my breeks off?
But maybe it's because the world is so grim that people want to, I don't know, watch these movies. But yeah, Rivals is back very, very soon. Everybody's very excited about it. I don't quite know when it is, but I will certainly be watching it. Claire Muldoon, thank you very much indeed. Do take care, my darling. Claire Muldoon, there, fabulous Claire, and she's going through the papers for you. Now, though, it is over to you next, because in a few moments' time, it is your Talkback Hour, which is when you get to do exactly that. And I want to hear your views about how high we should jump when Donald Trump calls.
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, and a very good morning to you. This is Talk Back, and it's a full hour of just you and me chatting about the news of the day. And I think we do need to address the latest threats from Donald Trump and look at how much we are being asked to do and demanded to do by Donald Trump. And the usual sort of petulant threats are coming out of Washington. Trump is threatening NATO allies if they don't help secure the Strait of Hormuz, although he doesn't need the help. This is the problem. The messaging from Trump on this is all over the place. He is an unreliable president. He is unreliable. What this whole situation is of Trump's making, because Israel would never have had the backbone to do this on their own. They needed Donald Trump. They've been wanting an American president to do this for decades, and they finally got one. And Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu, this whole crisis is of their making. And there was a deal in place with Iran, and I've spoken to so many specialists and asked, frankly, was it any good, the one that Obama pulled together? Was it any good? Was it working? Could Iran be trusted to hold to it? Well, they did hold to it until Donald Trump ripped it up and then said he would come up with something better, which of course he never did, exactly the same as he keeps saying about Obamacare. He just wanted to destroy everything that Obama put out there. But apparently the deal with Iran to check on them, to send monitors in and all of those things, look, it was never going to be foolproof, and they would have needed watching very, very, very closely. But now we've got this situation. Now we've got this mess, this entire mess in the Middle East. And Donald Trump and his ill-prepared and frankly ill-experienced cabinet around him. Pete Hegseth, he was a weekend talk show host. I mean, I think that pretty much makes me eligible to become the Secretary of Defence in this country, right? In fact, I probably have got more knowledge than Hegseth. And Hegseth is enjoying this far too much. But they've gone in there, guns blazing, gung-ho, thinking this would be over the second they killed the Ayatollah. They were going to do another Venezuela and come out being the good guys. They then expected the Iranian people to march against the regime and overthrow the government. They didn't stand a chance. And plus, on the first day, a Tomahawk missile wiped out 168 little girls at school because of bad intelligence and bad AI. And the school was double tapped, by the way, just in case. That's not going to encourage a people to support Donald Trump's vision of their country. This whole mess. And then, of course, Iran playing their ace card, which they have often done, and that is control of the Strait of Hormuz and the impact that that will have on the global economy. They were always going to do that. There was no question that they weren't going to do that. So now Donald Trump is saying that we all have to get involved to keep the Strait of Hormuz moving. And he said today, I was listening to him today, he said, well, they haven't got any weapons. They haven't got any, it's not, we don't even think it's mined, but it's going to take the bravery of a couple of ships to go through. Really? Great idea. Well, let's just test it out, shall we? In fact, about 8 ships have gone through today because they were not associated in any way with the US or Israel. And Iran is now saying, look, if you're not involved in this, if you're not giving succor to America, then your ships can go through. So as far as trying to pressure China, who uses a lot of Iranian oil and oil from that region, China are like, well, we've got nothing to do with this. We've barely spoken about it. So my reading of it, that Chinese tankers or tankers, Iranian tankers heading to China will be okay. So now Donald Trump is upset because he's surprised that we're not enthusiastically joining in. I mean, I don't know what goes on in somebody's brain who thinks that getting involved in a war requires enthusiasm. Yay, let's get in there. Plus, we just don't have the military hardware. We just don't have it. So a lot of America's allies now, who, by the way, he hasn't treated as allies in the last year. Tariffs, slagging them off, being horrible about Europe, you know, being just he's been. If that was your best mate, you wouldn't be doing them any favors now, right? He's been horrible to his allies, and now he's saying, well, you've got to come and help, even though I don't need your help. America's got it completely under control. We don't need your help. We don't need your ships. But this is a test to see if you'll come and help. And if you don't, this is a bad future for NATO. But this isn't a NATO conflict. There are procedures you have to go through. This is nothing to do with NATO. This is actually nothing to do with us. Yet are we being punished? Are we, a price is going to go up? Are bad things going to happen? Yes. But this is not our war. And when people start talking about putting the Navy into the Royal Navy into the Strait of Hormuz, sitting targets, sitting ducks, you could be looking at years of this, 5, 10, 15, 20 years of having to police tankers through with the threat of missiles from Iran. And I've got a brother in the Navy, so I'm going, hang on a minute. Why is he gonna potentially die for Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu? I don't, and I do think, and I'm honestly I'm not no fan of this Labour government and no fan of Keir Starmer. But I'd said from day one, I believed that he was doing the right thing in not letting us, not getting us embroiled in this latest Middle East war. The last time this happened, we were stuck for 20 odd years. Sorry, I just messed up. 20 odd years. So Starmer's gone, no, we've had to learn from our mistakes. We've had to learn from just blindly following Donald Trump or America, wherever it wants to go. So that's my question. How much do we get involved in this? And it's a thin end of the wedge with Trump. We know that, right? He's got Marines heading to the coast of Iran right now. Thousands of them. Heading to put boots on the ground. That's the only reason they're going there. They're not, there's nothing else for them to do. That's what they're going for. The idea to protect the shoreline of Iran against the Iranians bombing the Strait of Hormuz. Well, that is a land invasion. And Iran are not going to stand for that. And a land invasion, you're getting bogged down into something really, really serious. And what's to stop him saying, right, well, we need ground troops now. Come on, jump. Daddy Trump has said jump. Get your soldiers in there. Shouldn't just be American soldiers dying for this. Shouldn't be any soldiers dying for this, frankly. So if we give in and just a little bit of wiggle room, this man will not stop. And also, we can't trust him. He could pull out any day, go, right, I've done my bit now, America's done its bit, we've sorted that out for you, we've made the world a safer place for you, because that's what he genuinely is going to say, and then he's going to go and do one. And then what? Then what? Nothing's going to go, it's not just going to go back to normal, because Donald Trump's declared victory. This is pretty much as bad as it gets. And this is our ally that we can't trust, who had no plan, who had no exit strategy, who had no plan bar regime change, Iranian people revolting. That was his plan. And here we are. Complete mess of his making. Do we jump in and help? Or do we do just what we have to do to defend ourselves? 0344 499 1000. Calls charged at national rate, but we do call you back. Sheldon is on the line. Good morning, Sheldon. How are you this morning, and how's lovely Faith?
She's doing okay, darling. Thank you very much.
I'm glad.
She's coming down on the stair lift this very moment.
Oh, bless her.
So she can hear everything I say, because I know she doesn't trust a word I say. Anyway, have you prepared your nut cutlet for this evening now?
No.
Oh, come on.
No, when I go home, I have a fresh banana on toast.
A fresh banana on toast?
Yeah.
Well, I hope it is a fresh one.
It is. It is.
And I hope the toast isn't burnt. Okay? So you enjoy it. Anyway,
thank you.
Let's get my call in context here, shall we, before we start, okay? Like everybody in the world, I am no supporter of the disastrous regime that's happened in Iran at the moment. I understand the terror of it.
Yeah.
However, we have to get something into context here. This country is 8,000 years old this year. 8,000 years old. America is 250 nearly this year old.
Yeah.
A slight difference, I think. 93 million Iranians cannot possibly agree completely between themselves over what is going on in Iran at the moment. They can't. 93 million people do not agree with each other.
Yeah.
No. So Trump has made a big, big mistake this time, because he's not going into a little war, which he started, and then finished by walking away and claiming another victory. We're in deep trouble here, because this gentleman, who is a 5 times draft dodger, and has the audacity to call himself the commander-in-chief of the American forces, is a fraud. And Hesketh is a big problem, because he's coming across as some sort of definite, without any doubt, nutcase. I think the man is a complete idiot.
Yeah, I do too.
And the world is not going to put up with it. And the leaders of the Western world are not going to support Trump's efforts to get them to rescue him from this latest example will ever work. They are not going to get on his side this time. He's made a huge mistake. And I don't blame the people, the leaders of the Western world, who are not going to support him in the Straits of Hormuz or anywhere else.
I don't think we can risk it. I think he's too unstable, is my view.
No, you can't. You can't. The man is an idiot, because what's going to happen is, whatever his next call is going to be another call and another call and another call, and you can't encourage him. The biggest problem we have is, if he's going to place boots on the ground around that strait, it's a complete waste of time anyway, because they're only on these tiny islands. And how is he going to fight the whole of Iran from there?
Yeah.
He's going to drag us into it instead. And we are not going to put up with it.
I mean, that is my worry, Shelton, genuinely, is that if we just go, oh, go on then, we'll just do that, he's going to demand more and more, because he's got the midterms coming up. So he wants this war over. Yeah, so he's likely just to leave and leave us all exposed.
Thank you very much. My feeling is, I don't think he has any empathy for the people of Iran, Venezuela, or anywhere else.
Or the United States of America.
Into Cuba or anywhere else. He doesn't care about the population at all. The only thing he's concerned about is his future. Nothing else at all.
And money.
Big money. Very big money. Because when they call him transactional, America is a transactional country.
Mm.
The whole of America is based on materialism. No disrespect to the American people, but that's what they are. They're materialists. When the price on the pump goes up, trouble starts.
Yeah.
And that's the way they think. They don't care about bombs at 2,000 miles away. The only thing they care about is a couple of bombs in New York. That's the only time they ever do anything. The same thing happened in the Second World War. The only time they ever came to support us was during the time of Pearl Harbor.
Mm.
Now, I don't believe in the special relationship. I don't think it exists. I never did think it existed. And one of the things I think about during that thought in my mind, which is very important, is when we come down to the fact that they care about the British economy, the European economy, or anybody else's economy, it does not exist in an American's head. Because they believe in their version of America, which they call the world.
Yeah, well, it's this exceptionalism, isn't it? That they're
American exceptionalism again.
Yeah, that they're trained as young people to believe that America is the only country in the world that's free, that it's the only country in the world worth living in.
It's the only so-called democracy in the world.
Yeah. And yet, what democracy have they got? You know, they've got their taxes they pay, and they don't. What do they get for their tax? They don't get universal health care. They don't get prescription. Nothing.
They don't have a democracy for one simple reason. They've only got two choices at the ballot.
Mm.
They've never been allowed a third choice. They're not allowed a third choice or a fourth choice. We could vote in 2 years' time for four parties.
Mm.
They can't. They only have a numerical two-system. It's either Democrats or it's Republican, and it goes back and forth forever and ever because there is no third party. They are not allowed to stand.
I mean, something's got to shift in America. This man has proven that the Constitution needs guardrails. It's clearly just so loosely written, like the Human Rights Act, for example. But the Constitution, everybody believed in that, but it only works on an honour system. You've got to have an honourable person.
Of course. Do you think, your own opinion, and I never ask opinions over the phone from you because it's not your job, I know that, right?
No, it's fine.
But do you think he's insane or senile?
I think I believe him to be a narcissist, and I do believe that he is suffering with dementia.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Yeah. I do. I mean, just hearing his slurring words, the fact he often gets words wrong, these are all indicators. And he is 80, right? He's practically 80, and that's not a given, but his father had it as well. So that is something.
Yeah. And the other thing that makes it plain to me is the repetitiveness of his claims over and over and over again. the same claims.
Well, I can tell you for certain. I mean, I'm basing this on my own experience. I have a younger brother actually with dementia, and and what dementia patients do is they fill the gaps of their memory with outrageous claims.
Yes.
And that's what we're seeing from Donald Trump, is these outrageous, over-the-top claims. But he doesn't know he's doing that. That's
it's not his fault. He doesn't know that.
Yeah, he's just filling in the gaps with these sort of. This is what my brother does. You know, at one point he was saying that he was fifth in line. My brother was saying he was fifth in line to the Spanish throne. He wasn't making it up. He genuinely. You know, but they're grandiose. The people with dementia make grandiose claims. They're the richest people in the world. They're the best people in the world. And that's what we're seeing from Donald Trump. So just basing it on my own experience, that's what I would... I mean, I'm not a medical person, but I would suggest that.
Neither am I. But in my own experience, I've had 5 members of my family who've suffered from all sorts of different dementia. Not all Alzheimer's, but different forms of dementia. And it's a trying thing to understand. When you've gone through it, you can see it a million miles away.
Yeah, I agree.
And I feel sorry for America, because if they don't understand that they've got to stop voting for somebody who has taken them in a very dangerous direction, the country's going to get in trouble and the world is going to get in deep trouble.
Yeah, I completely agree. And this all pivots around one man. There should really be an age limit, I think, on you know,
somewhere along that line. Yeah.
Somebody with a nuclear button, anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Sheldon, adore you. Thank you very much indeed.
Anyway,
always a pleasure.
Enjoy your fish, your nut cutlet.
I haven't gone that far, but my love to Faith. Thank you, Sheldon. Take care. Right, so it's a really tricky one, isn't it? What do we do? Is Donald Trump reliable? Can we say, well, look, but he hasn't got a plan? I mean, if we saw a plan, we might go, oh, okay, we can jump in and help you. So let me know. Let me know what you think. How high should we jump when Donald Trump says? Give me a call, 0344 499 1000.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, this is Talk, and this is Talk Back. And I'm Petrie, and that's what we're doing. We're having a chat now about what's going on in the Middle East, and just really how much should we now jump in to help Donald Trump, even though he says he doesn't need any help. He's got it completely under control. This is what control looks like. He's got it completely under control, but this is a test to see how many of his allies that he has treated like dirt for the last year are going to jump up and support him by helping out policing the Straits of Hormuz. Personally, I think he's desperate. He called this wrong, and he'll never admit that, obviously. So what's he going to do? He's going to double down, or he's going to blame us. Or my number one prediction is that in a couple of weeks he'll declare victory and remove himself from the mess that has been created and say, right, America's done its bit now. We don't need the oil from the Strait of Hormuz, so you can defend it. That's your problem. And particularly since many of the NATO countries are now saying we're not getting involved, we're not getting dragged in. So he's going to punish us by just removing himself and thinking that that's going to change everything. And the people I feel really, really sorry for are the ordinary American people, because Iran is not going to let this go. And America has always felt, as Donald Trump has proved many times, he said, well, we've got a big fat ocean protecting us. Naive. Because big fat oceans don't protect you from sleeper cells. And that's my real concern, is for ordinary Americans who didn't vote for this, who didn't approve this, who don't approve this, are going to be injured and killed on their own streets. That's my concern. And Donald Trump will just say, well, that's why that's the reason I went in is because of that. Well, instead of that is the reason that's happening because he went in and tore up that arrangement that Obama had made with Iran, which was working. How long it would have worked, I don't know. I'm not saying that Iran would have never had nuclear weapons. I'm sure that they were being a bit sneaky about it, but they're never going to agree to that now, are they? I mean, is the world safer today than it was 3 weeks ago? Absolutely not. Absolutely, emphatically not. And the person who's benefiting the most from this, Russia, Vladimir Putin. Honestly, if I wrote this as a film script, I'd be laughed out of a producer's office. So it was ridiculous. Jenny in Farringdon says, Trump is looking and sounding pretty desperate. He confused Iran with Venezuela. Israel is running out of interceptor missiles, which is deeply worrying, as they are a nuclear power. This is what you get when you vote a dumb, convicted felon into the White House. Couldn't have put it better myself. Melissa is in York. Hello, Melissa.
Oh.
Hello, Melissa. Good morning.
Hello, darling. I didn't realise I was actually going to finally get to speak to you.
Oh, you are. You're here. Sorry.
Yes. Hello, in the middle of the trauma of our world.
Can't cope. It's too much, isn't it?
I can cope, but what would you like to ask me?
Well, I just want to know, really, how much we should get involved with this Middle East conflict, this Middle East war.
100% not. We are not a superpower anymore. We are a weak little dot. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, because of our history and our past with colonialism and everything that's gone on before, it's causing a lot of drama here at home. However, you have to look at America. What they're doing and why they are doing it. Is it religious? Is it political? Is it both? What's the point? What's the end? What's the end game? What? You tell me what you think you know, and I'll tell you what I think I know.
Well, I mean, this is the problem, is that look, there's a lot of people saying that it is religious. And that, even the generals are talking to the soldiers and saying this is the end of times. This is, that Donald Trump was put into his position to bring about the end of time so that...
wait.
So that Jesus could walk. That's what the generals are telling soldiers.
Yeah, but this is the whole point, isn't it, is that it's a puppet master.
Yeah.
There is a bigger game, and we don't know who is at the roots of the bigger game. I watched Mr. Nobody, Trump today, the BAFTA Oscar film today. And what a remarkable, remarkable man. We are in a situation where the world is being run by despots. And unfortunately, everyone who's funding the despots is us. You, me, and everybody else. And we're not given the right to even confirm or deny our involvement. We don't, I speak for we, the greater we, I don't want to be in.
You're going to have to watch your language, Melissa, but I think we...
Well, it's gone 9 o'clock, so I'm sure we're okay.
No, we're not. You're not allowed to say that. It's off.
Oh, well, I do apologise, and I take it back, but I do mean it. So, thus saying, I don't understand how bombing people is going to sort out diplomacy. I also don't think we should be going around countries trying to bomb for diplomacy.
No,
My mother worked in Iran for 3 months.
It's never
and
worked.
It was some of the most beautiful people that were under such, the women especially, same in Afghanistan, they are being absolutely bombasted by
the theocracy.
Am I allowed to say that? Thank you. Ultimately, there's a lot of nonsense going on in every country. I think Starmer, and I'm not a huge fan myself, has done the right thing by showing some dignity, some holding back, dignity. Dignity's the word. We don't need to bomb everywhere. Diplomacy is good.
Yeah, well, I do think that Starmer, on this occasion, has stood against the tide and said, look, I'm doing this for Britain, and I think this is the wrong call. And now other countries are now joining him in the same expression of this is not our war. So I think on this occasion that I support his stance on this. But there are a lot of people who don't. There's a lot of people who think we should be gung-ho into this war alongside our, in inverted commas, greatest ally. What do you think? How far should we go? Melissa, thank you. 0344 499 1000.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello and a good morning to you. It is Petrie here with you, and this is Talk Back, and we are talking about the Middle East and Donald Trump being surprised that we were not more enthusiastic about wading in to his and Benjamin Netanyahu's war in the Middle East. Enthusiastic. I literally can't get over that. I cannot get over the terminology and the fact that, after 13 now, American men and women are going home, or some have already got home in body bags, that the White House put out an AI video of a game referring to war being a game. It's so off. And they don't want the newspapers to put the fallen heroes on the front pages. I don't know where I am. I honestly. Sammy says, we can't jump in. We don't have the military. It's all a mess. Couldn't have put it better. And Andrew said, am I the only one thinking that Trump's war on Iran was to help Putin wage his war on Ukraine? Putin has done well out of this war with the reduction of sanctions. Putin has done extremely. He's the only one that's done well out of this, actually, to the tune of $6 billion so far, which he will spend on crushing Ukraine. And America is no longer going to support Ukraine. The rest of the coalition of the willing haven't got enough weapons left to help Ukraine. So this is definitely Putin is dancing a little jig at the moment. He's absolutely thrilled with this. Do I think that Trump did this to help him? I don't think Trump knew why he was doing this. It would be too much of a stretch for me to think that Trump even thought this through in any way at all. He was high from Venezuela. He thought after they went in and snatched Maduro, he thought that he was the king of the world and that he could do anything he wanted to anywhere in the world. That's what this is about. Ego. Well, look what we did in Venezuela. We could do it again. Now, he genuinely thought that in 2 days, Iran would be done. I don't think anybody sat him down and explained about Iran or the Ayatollahs or the theocracy or anything. So now here he is saying that we've got to all join in with him, that he's done his bit. Well, he certainly has done his bit. And I can almost go, I can feel it in my bones. He is going to walk away and say, right, that's your problem now, solve it. I can feel it. Ali is in West Yorkshire. Hello, Ali. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good, I guess, with World War III happening, but yeah.
I mean, I can't. It's just, what a mess. What a catastrophe, really.
Absolutely. It's a disaster.
It almost couldn't be worse.
It's a disaster, absolutely, yes.
What do you think we should do?
So, I actually think the Prime Minister has adopted the right approach to this illegal war. I think despite all the pressure from Trump, America, the Israel lobby, all the warmongers in the media, he's handled it correctly, in my view. History will prove him correct. And certainly keeping out of any more illegal wars in the Middle East is absolutely in the national interest of Great Britain, in my opinion.
I agree. I mean, we were saying in the newsroom, this could be his war. I mean, this could be a turning point for him, because I do think he displayed an enormous amount of calm and an enormous amount of retrospection and thought, and almost stood alone.
Yeah.
You know, because you had the Tories the Tories going, yeah, we should have done it. Farage, we should have just followed whatever he said, we should have jumped. And I'm with you, Ali. I think that this is a moment that could define Keir Starmer's premiership.
Absolutely, yeah.
I really do. And I'm no fan. I really am no fan of a lot of the things that he's done or not done or failed to do or been flip-floppy or weak or whatever. But I've got to hand it to him on this one.
Yeah. I would say this is not the UK's war. This is not the West's war. This is Israel's war. These are the Zionist war. If they're so tough, they should fight with Iran one-on-one. The West, America, Britain should not get involved in this. They have so much weapons. They should fight with Iran. They've been wanting, like you said earlier, they've been wanting America president to start this war with them for 40 years.
40 years, yeah.
And also, like you said as well, there was a deal, the JCPOA that was signed in 2015, and that was working. It was working. But also, I want to add another point, because in my research of this, what doesn't get talked about is that the mullahs, they issued a fatwa saying that nuclear weapons, weapons of mass destruction, are anti-Islam, against Islam, against humanity, and they will never make them. So essentially, they have got a fatwa on that, as well as obviously during the JCPOA having the restrictions on them.
Yeah, so. I mean, the Ayatollah Khamenei who was killed, who was murdered, was against having nuclear weapons. There were people in the regime who were keen on it, and in fact, the new Ayatollah is more keen on it.
Yeah, they're hardline now.
They're hardline now.
Hardline.
Yeah, I mean, this is it. Is the world safer now than it was 3 weeks ago? No.
No, definitely not. No.
Absolutely not. And there will be a massive expansion now of other countries who are seeing this and thinking, right, we've got to get our own nuclear weapons. So after all those years of trying to the nuclear I can never say that word, proliferation, proliferation pacts that were made around the world after the bombings in Japan, actually, wasn't it, in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. We were not going to, humanity was not going to do this, and that only certain countries would be allowed to have nuclear weapons, and they would provide an umbrella for the others. That's gone.
Yeah,
that's gone. Yeah. Every country now is all out for themselves, and they're all going to get nuclear weapons. So what Trump has done has made the world, I mean, significantly more dangerous than it was. I'm also. I don't know if you've seen the news, the language that they're using in the administration, the likes of Trump and that awful guy Hegseth, and they're using like racist language, like holy war, crusader, like messianic Zionist language. They're actually invoking like religious hatred. There was like a report, internal American military report, saying that loads of soldiers have complained that they're getting stuff like saying this is a holy war, this is a war against Muslims, the second coming of Christ will happen. And that Donald Trump was chosen to bring about the apocalypse. So that Jesus could come back. But George W. Bush was also a Christian nationalist, and he used the same sort of language about Iraq. They're so keen to have this Jesus come back that they do anything to invoke that. It's terrifying.
Yeah. I mean, as you know, Petrie, we're Muslims. We're used to this language, these wars that have been waged on, our lands, our people. Right from the Crusades up until now, there's literally always seems to be a war or a campaign against a Muslim nation, and it's disgusting and it's evil, really. Like the massacre on the schoolgirls. Like, I'm so glad you mentioned that earlier, because all that coverage has gone from the mainstream media. Or that Tomahawk missile that killed the girls.
Yeah, and Trump's going, that was Iran. That was the Ayatollah did it to himself. It's like they don't have Tomahawks. So
yeah, exactly.
I'm not entirely sure. And it was either you or Israel. So because nobody else was bombing Iran. Yeah. So but he's going, other people. I mean, it was quite clear. And there's been so much information that's come out about bad intelligence, because the school used to be part of the IRG camp, didn't it? But it hasn't been for 13 years. And AI got it wrong and bombed it because they thought it was a headquarters and it was a school and had been for over a decade, and there's little girls. And how is that going to make anybody want peace?
No.
The anger, imagine if that was here.
Oh, yeah.
We would never forgive them.
It's on top of 30,000 Palestinian children that have been murdered, so... Like, it's just all this wars and death and destruction, and and then I see on social media, the MAGA, the right wingers, they label Muslims, they label us as backward and uncivilized and violent and all the racist tropes, and yet they're the ones who invade other countries, bomb other countries, murder, kill children, and they're the civilized ones. What a joke.
Yeah, make it make sense. Just make it make a sense. Ali, good to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed. Got to take a quick break, but I will be back in just a moment.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, good morning to you. This is Talk, and it is Petrie here with you, because this is Talk Back, and this is your hour. Well, it has been your hour. It runs out in 10 minutes. But we've been talking about Donald Trump being surprised at our lack of enthusiasm to get involved in another Middle East war. Not of our making, of America's making again. Don't forget, the only time that NATO Article 5 was triggered was in defence of the United States of America after 9/11. And the so-called weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, which we know was fundamentally a lie, right? It wasn't true. That came from Benjamin Netanyahu as well. And by the way, not a single Israeli soldier died in Iraq. But Benjamin Netanyahu managed to convince Donald Trump that Iran was 2 weeks away from having a nuclear bomb. By the way, Netanyahu has been saying that for decades. 2 weeks away. 2 weeks away. I think Saddam Hussein was 2 weeks away as well from having a weapon of mass destruction, if you remember. So Donald Trump bombs Iran alongside Israel, kicks off an utter mess in the Middle East and strangles the supply of oil and gas to a good deal of the world. And now he's saying that he doesn't need us, but he wants to test to see how his allies respond to him asking for or demanding warships in the Strait of Hormuz. Those allies that he has been vile to for the last year. He wants to see if we'll do that. And if we don't, then NATO is in trouble. And this is really interesting. Gary has said, I'm actually glad Starmer said no to Trump because, as you said, I'd be worried about the consequences, especially regarding sleeper cells. My only worry is, apart from rising energy and food costs, is that the UK, if the UK ever requires outside help, that maybe the US government would no longer be an ally. And Gary, that could be true for the next 2 years, because Donald Trump will go at some point. He will either die, because that's what people do, or he can't, constitutionally can't be president again. So it's 2 years. And I think that we have enough headwind with our European allies and with Canada and with the Commonwealth. And yes, America's might is incredible, and it would be a shame to lose that. But Canada feels the same way. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. This too will pass, you know. There will be a correction in America. Whether it comes soon enough, I don't know, but there will be a correction in America. It could happen in the midterms. Probably will happen. If the midterms go ahead, then I think the Republicans will lose the power that they've got. But Donald Trump's not around forever. I understand. I don't think that any other government would hold us to account for this moment in America. I don't. I think they would understand. They can see. They themselves are saying this is an illegal war. So I don't... I know what you're saying, but I wouldn't worry about it for too much, because I don't think it'll be a problem for too long. I am being a bit, you know, optimistic, I guess, but that's the way I see it. He can't live forever. Kevin is in Hull. Morning, Kevin. How are you?
Good morning, Petrie. How are you?
I'm very well indeed. Are you all right?
Yeah, we've got short time. I've been ringing lots of times, but I've got through tonight. That's lovely.
Well done. Glad to hear it.
I think the thing is, with Starmer, I don't like him, but I think he played the right card, because if we help them, basically what I'm trying to say is, how many Jews and Iranians has he got in his country? And it's a big country. We're a small island. And I think the thing is, the knockbacks, if we went to war with them, could really unsettle the country.
I agree. And I do think that, look, Donald Trump has been going on about America first, right? He'll only do something...
Donald Trump reminds me of Kenny Everett. You're too young to remember him. And he came out in wide shoulders, American outfit with loads of medals, and we should round them all up, put them in the field, and then do something. But you can't round them up.
Yeah, I think that you know, I literally haven't been able to understand America for putting him in power again, and I feel deeply sorry for the American people, because, as I was saying, the revenge is going to be at the heart of Iran now.
I think you're right. I think the next president with attacks on America, he'll have to encompass, and the thing is with him, like you said, he's old and he's a bit John Wayne, but the world isn't like that. And I think the thing is with our country, we should defend our own islands. And what we've got, 2 minesweeping ships that are fully functional.
Oh, we haven't got any. We've got two.
Sorry.
We've got 2 autonomous new machines, but they only got them last year. I think 24, 25. So they're not 100%. You know, they're still experimenting with them. So we've got these 2 smaller ships. But the minesweepers have gone. I mean, we only retired the last one a few weeks ago, I think.
Oh, right. Well, I've been misinformed because I thought we had 5. 3 have been decommissioned.
No, they've all gone now. That's my understanding. They've all gone now.
Oh,
yeah.
right.
We retired the last one very recently. We had 2 in
the thing is, what I'm trying to say, Petrie, if the brains of this war, they've got the best of the best, then you should have minesweepers. You know, they should think. You know, the big think tank should think ahead.
They never do, though, do they?
No, I think the thing is, what I'm trying to say is 20% of the oil coming out of there goes to Europe. Apparently, you can correct me, 5% comes to England. I think we can suck up 5%.
Well, I mean, look, there's going to need to be. Already, they're trying to reroute, deliveries and into different areas in the region to get the via pipelines and things. The trouble is, the pipelines can't take enough. There will definitely be implications. We know there's going to be implications, but for Donald Trump to say it's got nothing to do with him, the Strait, we don't need the Strait of Hormuz. We don't need the oil out of that. We don't need anything. We've got loads of oil. I mean, they have got loads of oil, but it's the wrong oil. And
yes, that's what they don't understand.